Good morning, members of the MAG PopTech. This meeting is now called to order. We will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members. Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll say your name, let me know whether or not you're here. And if you're proxying for your member agency, then speak up when I say the member agency name. Tracy Clark, ADOT.
Here.
Bryant Powell, Apache Junction. Catherine Lorbier, Avondale.
Here.
Andrea Marquez, Buckeye.
Here.
Stacy Bridge Denzak, Carefree. Stephen Perales, Cape Creek. Sam Andrea, Chandler.
Here.
Crystal Dykes, Mel Mirage.
Present?
Victor Cantu, Florence. Farhad Tebasoli, Fountain Hills.
Here.
Anyone from Gila Bend? Kyle Mearis from Gilbert.
Here.
Alex Lerma or anyone from Glendale? Christian Williams, Goodyear.
Present.
Anyone from Guadalupe? Sonny Colbreth or anyone from Litchfield Park? Rudy Lopez, Maricopa. Looks like we have Adam Cannon from Maricopa County. Is that right?
Here from Matt Holm. Yep.
Thanks, Adam. Kelly Rorex, Mesa.
Present.
Brandon McMahon, Paradise Valley.
Present.
Rob Kufis, Peoria.
Present.
I'm not sure who the official proxy is going to be. Phoenix, David, or Emily?
Emily Dawson, and I'm here.
All right. Tara Harmon, Pinal County.
Present.
Anyone from Queen Creek? Anyone from Salt River? Taylor Reynolds, Scottsdale.
Present.
Trevor Fleetham, Surprise.
Present.
Jacob Payne, Tempe.
This is Mailen Pinkiewicz as a proxy in Tempe.
What was your name again?
First name Mailen, last name Pankiewic, Tempe. I will write it in the chat as well.
Thank you. Well, if you can you email me how to spell your name at SWILKEN?
I will.
Sorry, at azmag.gov. It's been a long day so far.
I will.
SWILKEN at azmag.gov. Thank you. Jeez. Ben Davidson, Valley Metro.
Here.
Davis or anyone from Wickenburg? And anyone from Youngtown? Okay, Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Scott. The next item is call to the audience. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Staff, do we have any written comments for this item?
We do not.
Our next item is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 24th, 2023?
So moved.
Who was that? Tracy?
And do we have a second?
This is Kyle and Gilbert. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Tracy and a second from Kyle.
Roll call vote.
Yeah.
Do it.
Okay.
Voice vote first.
We'll do a voice vote in the room. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Then I need to do a roll call vote for everybody on the phone. ADOT.
Aye.
Apache Junction. Buckeye.
Aye.
Carefree. Cave Creek. Chandler.
Aye.
Florence. Fountain Hills.
Aye.
Gila Ben, Gilbert,
Aye.
Glendale, Guadalupe, Litchfield Park, City of Maricopa, Maricopa County,
Aye.
Mesa, Paradise Valley,
Yes.
York,
Aye.
Phoenix,
Aye.
Pinal County,
Aye.
Queen Creek, Salt River, Scottsdale,
Sorry, yes.
Tempe,
Yes.
Valley Metro,
Aye.
Wickenburg, Youngtown. Motion passes.
Thank you, Scott. Item 4 is a presentation on the 23 MEG long-range socioeconomic projections. Mr. Ayers will present this item. This item is on for information, discussion, and possible action.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for being here today. I'm extremely pleased to be here to present the socioeconomic projections for 2023. This is an effort that we go through 3 times per decade. This is the first time after the 2020 census that we've done this. It's been a heck of a push to get this done over the past 6 months. And really pleased that I've been working with the same crew for more than 10 years doing these projections. So this isn't our first rodeo, and I'm really glad that we've had such consistency and participation with everyone. So thanks for that. So first up, why did we do this? Well, the first thing is there's an executive order that states that we have to do this every 10 years, or I'm sorry, 3 times per decade. Also, transportation air quality planning needs and complex questions from you folks and any of the stakeholders. We need these projections to answer those questions. Yeah, it looks like the clicker isn't working. Oh, there we go. Great. Okay, so what did we do this time? What we're looking at today is we did draft projections from 2023 to 2020 to 2060. We did total population by your jurisdictions and our regional analysis zones and your municipal planning areas. We also did total employment by those same zones. After we adopt these projections through the process at the end in regional council, we have a lot more detail to come. We're going to produce microanalysis zones and transportation analysis zone data and a lot more details on the population, residents, special populations, housing units by different types, employment by industry sectors and types, and a bunch of different other socioeconomic characteristics like income and school enrollment and things like that. So a whole ton of data went into the base year for this projection series. It's based in the Census 2020. We don't get a lot of detail out of Census 2020, mainly just totals. So we use the American Community Survey to get a lot more detail on the population. So the latest one we could use was the 2017 to 2021 5-year. We also used our MAG residential completions, assessment data, and we controlled the base year to the MAG ADOA annual population estimates for July 1, 2020. We also used our MAG group quarters inventory. We got more detailed population characteristics out of the PUMS microdata sample. And that's also for the same 5-year period as the ACS. We used our MAG employer database that is maintained in-house and reviewed by member agencies. We also used our residential completions, which were complete through 2022 Q4 at least. And these are also reviewed by MAG agencies annually. Our existing land use database went into this, current as of December 2022, again, reviewed through the PopTac. Our built space is primarily through the Maricopa County Assessor's data and Pinal County Assessor, current as of July 2022. We also collect some data from you folks on public buildings. The general plans were current as of December 2022, another thing that gets reviewed through PopTac annually. And probably our most important input to this is the development data set. We were able to put new developments that we learned of up until at least Q2 2023. But I think we even got some in as late as 2 weeks ago. Again, the development data is reviewed by MAG-PopTac annually. We have a database of schools, mobile home parks, retirement areas, and hotels, motels, and resorts all go into this as well. So the process went through as follows. We started in late January with what we called a draft 0. And this was really pre-projections. We really wanted to make sure we had as much of the new development that we knew was coming in there as possible. So we mainly spent the time looking at the base data and then going around the map and making sure that we had all the input data that we needed. One of the main things that we did was asked about water and infrastructure constraints on development during these processes. And generally speaking, we didn't have any pushback on that at all from any of our member agencies. Draft 0 consisted of 22 meetings with a total of 64 attendees across the entire review. We also did an azmag model workshop. azmag is the name of our model, and I spent about an hour going through the details of how the model works. I think we did that in lieu of the February PopTac. We did a draft 1. We came up with our first draft numbers by April of 2023. We sent these out. We did another 25 meetings with even more attendees this time. We were really glad to be able to include state lands in these meetings. We met with them twice, actually. GPEC, ACA, and ASU were all took the time to meet with us, and we got good input from every single one of those meetings. Those were really valuable, especially the state lands one, because there's a lot of uncertainty on those state lands. So we took all the input from the draft 1 that we got and produced a draft 2 by late May. This draft 2 was reviewed online by you folks. I think everybody was pretty happy with it because we only received 13 comments, but we did produce 80 plus adjustments from those comments because they weren't just one comment, they were kind of complicated. We also did this review process in conjunction with CAG because we do for all of our member agencies projections, but we also do their projections for their member agencies too. And so we turn their projections over to them and they go and review them with their member agencies. So real quick, this is a chart that shows the control totals that we were subject to. The top 2 lines are for Maricopa County. The very top line up there is population, goes from 4.4 million in 2020 to 6.3 million in 2060. And then employment is the green line, 2.1 to 3.5 million by 2060. And the bottom 2 lines are for Pinal County. Their population basically more than doubles from 428,000 to 1.1 million. And they get a quadrupling of their jobs from 66 to 247,000 by 2060. These control totals, the population controls are provided by the Arizona State Demographer. These are control totals that we have to conform to, and our job is to distribute these county level control totals down to the sub area, the sub county geographies. And the employment control totals we got from Dr. George Hammond down at the University of Arizona. He runs the Economic and Business Research Center down there and has a model that he runs annually. And we piggybacked off of his model and used his control totals for employment. So that being said, we have a series of maps here to look at. Looks like the year might be getting covered up there. This is 2022. These are population concentration maps. And what you see is this is population per square mile. And I have one of these for 2022 and then every decade out to 2060 that we can just sort of flip through and watch sort of the expansion happen. So this is the sort of base conditions. And then there's 2023. And I'll just wait just a second to make sure this updates online before I go forward. And then we'll go to 2040. And then we'll go to 2050. And you can see a lot of expansion out in the west into Buckeye and Superstition Vistas and Queen Creek, all on the edges. And here's 2060, the final horizon year for population. I'll just back that up and do that again real quick so we can kind of see what that looks like. So back to 2022. Here's 2030, 2040, 50 and 60. I have another series of maps that shows the same thing for employment. And this is employment concentration, again, jobs per square mile. This is clearly much more concentrated than the population is. So we're starting here in 2022. And 2030 shows a little expansion. And there's 2040. You can certainly start to see you can see the TSMC up there around I-17 and 303 popping in really heavily up there at this point. And just generally more intensification in existing areas generally is what we find. That's 2050 and 2060, our horizon year. So I'll just back this up again and do that again. There's 2022 for employment. 30, 40, 50, and 60. So next steps. This is after we can get this adopted through regional council. We have draft documentation available now. If anybody wants it, just ask. But we will be posting that online, of course, along with the book when things get adopted. Significantly more analysis is coming, a lot more detail. We have reporting code and analysis code that we want to update, do a lot more visualization of the results. We just haven't had time to do a lot of that yet. We need to produce a complete set of socioeconomic files for transportation. We're targeting September for that. So they can start with their conformity runs and things of that nature, and continue to support you folks in your planning efforts. So I'm happy to take any questions or comments at this time about the projections or anything that went into them.
Thank you, Jesse. That was an excellent presentation. Does any of the members have any questions or comments from the slide? Does anybody online have any questions? I'm sorry, my microphone was off. Does anyone online have any questions for Mr. Ayers? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 5. Thank you.
Well, Zach, we need to take the action.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So the action requested is recommended approval for the MEG socioeconomic projections for population and employment by municipal planning area, jurisdiction, and regional analysis, draft June 2023, and the resolution. So do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
And is there a second?
This is Taylor Reynolds with the City of Scottsdale. I'd be happy to make the second. I'd like to briefly speak to it. Working with MAG staff has been, great. And I noticed early on there was the slide that stated increasingly complex questions from some of the users, and I think we've been guilty of that. So appreciate all your work, Scott and the team. So I second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a first by Christian, a second by Taylor. All those, I'll do a vote in the room. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And then we'll do those opposed, same sign. And then we'll do a roll call vote.
I'm going to do a roll call vote for everybody so we get that all on the record.
Okay.
ADOT.
Aye.
Apache Junction. Avondale.
Aye.
Buckeye.
Aye.
Carefree. Cave Creek. Chandler.
Aye.
El Mirage.
Aye.
Lawrence. Victor, are you on now? I could be wrong. He's gone. Okay. Fountain Hills.
Aye.
Gila Bend. Gilbert.
Aye.
Glendale. Goodyear.
Aye.
Guadalupe, Litchfield Park, City of Maricopa, County of Maricopa,
Aye.
Mesa,
Aye.
Paradise Valley,
Sorry, yes.
Peoria,
Aye.
Phoenix,
Aye.
Pinal County,
Aye.
Queen Creek, Salt River, Scottsdale and its complicated questions.
Yes, thank you.
Surprise. Aye. Tempe,
Aye.
Valley Metro,
Aye.
Wickenburg, and Youngtown. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
Next, Katie Gentry will provide a presentation on the point in time homeless count. This item is on for information and discussion only.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So each year we conduct a point in time count. It's required by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It happens in the last 10 days of January. And the point is to really get a census of people experiencing homelessness throughout Maricopa County. We identify different subpopulations through the count.
Hold on, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't change it for the share screen.
There you go. There it is.
Perfect. So we count a bunch of different subpopulations through the count, and that's what I'm going to go through today. Each year we've been doing this count since for a number of years, but we've continued to see an increase specifically since 2014, specifically in that unsheltered population. So we've continued to see a growth year over year. This is the first year that we did not see a growth in our unsheltered population. We saw a slight decrease. Oh, good. So this year, our total was 9,642 individuals, with 4,734 of those being sheltered in the blue and 4,908 being unsheltered in the orange. A further breakdown of that, we saw a 7% increase over the year before, a 2% decrease in the unsheltered population, and an 18% increase in our sheltered population. This is primarily driven by our local and tribal governments, specifically opening more shelters in partnerships with nonprofits and foundations throughout the Valley over the last year. This has really been in response to the work of Pathways Home that we've been doing to address homelessness. But we're also seeing this year, it was a very cold morning. And so our unsheltered number was decreased, which we were quite surprised by. Going to break down some of those subpopulations. So families, we've continued to see kind of just a flattening with a slight increase. That increase this year was driven by that sheltered count, which you'll see in that dotted blue, with the unsheltered being in the dotted orange. Families are historically very hard to find during the point in time count because of the vulnerability that comes with kids experiencing homelessness. And so often we find that although we've increased efforts through calling back our shelter waitlist and things like that, unsheltered families are very difficult to encounter during that morning. We have seen a dramatic increase in people experiencing chronically homeless. The definition of chronic would be experiencing longer term homelessness, so 3 or more times in the last 4 years, adding up to more than 1 year, or 1 year consistently. And they also have to have a disabling condition. So substance use, a disability, mental health concerns, anything like that, that would be considered a disabling condition. That increase has mostly been triggered by our sheltered increase. We find that that is because we've opened more non-congregate shelters over the last year in partnership with cities. So hotels, things that typically some of our more chronically homeless folks were not able to go into our traditional shelters. And so these alternative shelters have offered more opportunity for folks to come inside. We've also seen just kind of an up and down confluence of our veterans. So this year we saw 505 veterans experiencing homelessness. That slight increase was because of our sheltered count. This is based off of self-report veteran status during the point in time count. So no one is individually confirmed veteran status until they've gone through the process through our coordinated entry system. And lastly, unaccompanied youth. This is going to be folks who are 18 to 24 and found on their own. We saw a slight decrease. This population is also very difficult to find during the point in time count. We often find that folks who are unaccompanied youth are experiencing homelessness not by the HUD definition, but more the McKinney-Vento definition. That means that they're experiencing couch surfing or maybe doubled up with family, or maybe in and out of last night they could stay with family or friends and tonight maybe they couldn't, which makes them very difficult to find also. Going to do some demographic breakdown of folks. We see a gender breakdown. The majority of folks are male with a smaller population of females and even smaller transgender, questioning, or gender nonconforming. This year was the first year that we broke down age groups into groups of 10 per HUD regulations. So saw that the majority of folks are between that 25 and 44 range. We are seeing an additional increase in older adults, specifically 65 and older. This was the first time that we broke it down. In previous years, we've been looking at 62 and older, but we're continuing to see an increase in older adults experiencing homelessness. Race and ethnicity is pretty similar to what we see in the homeless response system. We see an overrepresentation of Black and African American, as well as Asian, Indian, or Alaskan Native. This is an overrepresentation comparatively to census data, although capturing multiple races is very difficult in homelessness data. Our Hispanic and Latino is slightly less than census information. Historically, Latinx folks do not access homelessness services at the same rate as they are seen in the census population. We also highlight some additional populations. So this is looking at mental health, substance use, HIV, AIDS, and domestic violence. This is, again, all self-report during the point in time count. We also ask a few additional questions to folks who are willing to be interviewed by us. So we asked 3 additional questions this year. Was COVID the cause of your homelessness? Was a rent increase the cause of your homelessness? And do you have any pets? And if so, how many? We're continuing to see increases in why people saying yes to their rent increase or the COVID pandemic being a reason for their homelessness increase year over year. And we are also continuing to see additional pets on the street. So last year, our number was lower on pets. So how do we use this data? It's really a local planning tool to continue to address homelessness across the region. It also brings additional funding. This is a requirement by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and helps to fund our Continuum of Care grant as well as emergency solution grants across the Valley. There are some benefits and limitations to the grant. As I mentioned, it does bring funding in, and we can see trends of homelessness over time. However, it's really difficult to measure some of those subpopulations. Data is all self-reported, and it does not give us a full picture of homelessness, especially throughout the year. It is one point in time in January, and that is difficult to see kind of trends over time. Huge thank you to our pit count coordinators and volunteers. We have coordinators from every single jurisdiction that helped to make it happen. And we sent over 1,200 volunteers out across the region in January. This is my contact information. You're more than welcome to contact me, as well as in your packet, there is our full report that is also available on our website. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gentry. Excellent presentation. Do any of the members have any questions for Katie? Or comments?
This is Taylor from the city of Scottsdale.
Thank you, Taylor.
Got a question. I noticed on page 4, there was additional survey questions about, was your homelessness caused by the pandemic or rent increase? Yeah, this slide. Is there further information that kind of breaks down who those folks were? Like, were they more likely to be those that sought shelter, I guess, on that point in time night? Were they, is there other attributes to those folks that it could be broken down into? Thank you.
Thanks, Taylor, for the question. Both of these questions, all three of these questions were only asked of folks who are unsheltered. So those questions were specifically people who did not stay in shelter that night. So no correlation with shelter. Happy to dig into any other correlations that you may find. We also have additional data through our homeless management information system, which asks people's primary reason for homelessness when they enter the homeless system. And happy to pull a comparison between that. We find about 40% of folks say that it is economic reasons as to why they're experiencing homelessness as the primary reason.
Sure. Yeah, I was just curious if there was further breakdown and like, are those folks part of those family units or not? Just seeing if there's a correlation at all. But thank you.
I'm happy to look into it and follow up with you, Taylor.
Thanks.
Thanks for the question, Taylor. Does anyone else have any comments or questions for Katie? Thank you very much. Next, we have a request for future agenda items. Are there any requests by a committee member for an item on the future agenda? Okay, and before we adjourn, Scott has introduction of a new staff member.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are thrilled to introduce our new intern, Alyssa Cybers, over there for people in the room. She's a current master's in planning student at ASU, about to enter her second year, and will be working on the data advisory team, helping me and Mary with our outreach, and also helping the research team, Peter's team, with things like the employer database and census data, all kinds of database cleaning and information. And so as we do some more of our outreach over the next year, you'll probably be hearing from her or seeing her. And we're really thrilled that she's on the team. Thanks.
Welcome, and we look forward to working with you. Then before we adjourn, the next meeting for the MEG PopTac is scheduled for Tuesday, June 27th, 10 a.m. With no further business, today's meeting is adjourned. Thank you.